Sally, since releasing guidelines and the change to the calendar, there's been a lot of talk about athletics, but there are many questions also regarding activities. First off, what kind of restrictions are there when it comes to activities?
You know, we had a meeting with the Activities Council last week, and the restrictions are really anything that they can do virtually is fine. So what restrictions are there? It's that face-to-face meeting. Our Activities Council and our activity world is doing a great job making sure they're engaging with their students virtually during this time.
Will activities have state competitions? What will that look like?
They are. And you know, when you talk to the leaders of the activities, they are making state championships, competitions virtually this year. And right now, even when school begins now, even in August and September, there's going to be some competitions virtually, so they're going to be very active.
Can students participate in activities during 0 hour or after school?
They can participate in activities throughout the day. You know, it depends on the school district what they're going to do. If they're going to allow the teacher to have her normal classes, the elective courses, or can they do them 0 hour after school? But I encourage all schools, superintendents, activities directors, all the sponsors, get your students engaged now, even when we're in remote learning, because our activities world is up and running.
Band and choir are considered high risk when it comes to COVID-19. Will those students be able to compete and participate? Where does that stand?
You know, band and choir is a little bit different. Our New Mexico educators, music educators, they are doing a great job just looking to see what are safe practices. The National Federation last week did their second release of a study that they are doing to find out how to do music instruments, wind instruments, singing, one-act play, how to make that safe. And so our Music Educators Association leading the way for New Mexico, and they have many guidelines out. So I encourage all our music educators to make sure you go to their website and see their guidelines.
With all the changes in the athletic calendar, I'm sure transferring has come up in some households. What are the rules in place when it comes to transferring in COVID-19?
You know, we haven't switched any rules when it comes to transferring. You know, if there's a situation that needs to take place, we have our hardship committee to look at those scenarios. But as far as transfer rules, our transfer guidelines are solid. They are in place and nothing changes. So a student athlete is not going to be able to go from one school to the other due to COVID-19. Right now we're seeing a lot of kids, what are we going to do virtually? Do they go to homeschool virtual? Do they stay at their school virtual? But our rules will still stay intact when it comes to transfer guidelines.
Last week you mentioned a possible virtual weightlifting competition to help keep students engaged during the fall. What will that look like, and is it open to boys and girls?
I met with our football coaches and our wrestling coaches last week and just trying to get the excitement out there. And that is those coaches I'm asking, please, let's do something virtually when it comes to powerlifting and weightlifting, and I need their help. And everybody is very receptive to it. So yes, we are going to have powerlifting, weightlifting this fall. It is open to both boys and girls. We're going to have 12 weight classes for boys and hopefully 12 weight classes for girls. We'll have to see where that participation is. And we're going to do this virtually. But it is something for our student athletes to get engaged this fall, since we do not have football, soccer, and some of the other sports starting until after January. So we can do this safely in the weight room virtually.
Has there been any change to the dead period, or are programs still prohibited from practicing from the first day of school until September 28th?
I haven't announced anything. You know, last week we talked about the dead period starting now when school starts to September 28th. I am looking at releasing that dead period maybe right after Labor Day, or if I can get approval from the Public Education Department, let's make it local autonomy. Let's make the schools decide whether they want their student athletes to come back. Now, when I say the dead period, and if they're able to come back and work out prior to September 28th, it is still going to be under the quote-unquote summer guidelines. So there are going to be restrictions, and it is just going to be conditioning, but at least our coaches will be able to work with their students.
Has there been any updates in wearing masks? Will student athletes have to wear masks when practicing and competing?
The only update, and it is still, yes, mask wearing. The update that has occurred is the Public Education Department did update their return to school guidelines. Prior PE, when you exercise and in PE, you did not have to wear masks. They just changed that where it is mask wearing even in exercise and PE. So at this point, JP, we are still mask wearing in all sports and practice, and that includes cross country as well.
Lastly, as schools are now returning to learning this month, where do we stand with the return of fall sports? Hopeful was a word you've used before. Are you still hopeful?
I'm very hopeful. You know, we moved soccer and football, and we have released our calendar. And we backed up to October 5th, cross country and fall golf, but I'm very hopeful we're able to get those in. You know, if you look around the nation, people are shifting the football and the soccer. But just like up in Colorado, they're already running cross country and they're starting golf and tennis and some of those sports. So I am very hopeful that we'll be able to have golf and cross country, and I'm very, very optimistic about volleyball. I think, you know, we may be wearing masks, but we can make this work. And like I have said before, we're going to have all sports in 2021. Where that's going to be, we do not know, but we're excited because our coaches and our athletic directors have the schedules for cross country, they have the schedules for golf, and they have the schedules for volleyball. So right now, we're looking forward to it, and we're excited, and as the school year gets going, our athletes just need to think that we're going to play again in New Mexico.